Hey guys, welcome to Impact Studio Umbiamas, conectando Aruba com o mundo via vídeo podcasting. Conectar conosco, compartilhar ideias e histórias para nos inspirar e para nos abrir. Impact Studio é a plataforma de podcast na Aruba. Follow-nos no Facebook, subscribe no YouTube ou na plataforma de podcast preferido. Escute o podcast preferido que hora e onde que está. Impact Studio, powered by Credits, botiu ideia? Credits educava e prepara abo para vir um empresário exitoso. De business plan, guia personal e préstamo para negócio até com 100,000 forinhos. Vira para mês donho com Credits. Subway. Passa na Subway para o sop, salada, wrap ou flatbread e mais fresco. Com 7 localidades rond Aruba. Nós está cerca de Ibo. Subway. Swing Masters. Organizando events, conferences of weddings, mister de luz, sound, staging, DJ, trussing of flat screen, Swing Masters está claro para ser boa fiesta éxito. Swing Masters. E agora, Impact Studio é plataforma de podcast de Aruba, está apresentar.
Good morning.
Good afternoon. Good morning if you just woke up.
Bom dia, bom dia.
Bon dia. So, let's give our thanks to our sponsor, Jean-Luc.
Thank you to Subway for allowing the podcast to thrive and exist and allowing for all of these other podcasts to come together. Swing Masters for these amazing lights that we have. And Credits. I don't know.
You did well. You did well. Credits. Thanks to Credits.
Yeah.
My name is Bruce Harms. I'm a digital evangelist and I love technology, and that's why we started the show.
My name is Jean-Luc. I am a student at the University of Aruba, and I have had an interest in tech and games my entire life.
I'm Rutlin Linder. I'm a criminologist, and I work as a senior strategic analyst at the NCTVI. And I'm a dedicated analyst for cybersecurity and counterterrorism.
Wow. We are so honored to have you here today. Thank you so much for coming. So,
honored to be here.
Yeah, well, so when you're a strategist, right? So what are the kind of responsibilities that you have?
Well, I'm a strategic analyst, so we write all the policies, and we make sure to monitor and evaluate the policies. And if there are incidents, I have to be in the crisis incidents response team.
Oh.
Wow. Sounds very serious. But I think, me and Jean-Luc have been talking a couple of weeks now on internet safety. And I'm
very likely.
Yeah, and we understand you have something going on this month, Cyberweek?
Yes, October is the International Cyber Awareness Month. Oh. So all over Interpol, Europol, ENISA, different entities here in Aruba. We also do an awareness campaign on cybersecurity in the month of October.
Right. And when we're talking about cybersecurity, are we talking about cybersecurity for businesses and government, or just citizens like us, just normal people?
From the youngest citizens, from the kids, all the way up to the highest government entities, because you can have cyber espionage, so
Right.
that's terrorism via cyber, but you can also have kids that can fall crimes to online child porno or online crimes against children.
Crimes against children. And
It's from the citizens all the way up to the biggest enterprise.
so totally, fully broad spectrum.
It's fully broad spectrum. So what we do at the Interpol, we have different cyber awareness. So we do dedicate every week. We have 1 week for online crimes against children. We send all for the businesses and for the government entities itself to be aware of the crimes that you can fall victim in.
Fall victim for. And there's been a lot of talk. I remember, last year in particular, there were some cyber attacks that happened with government organizations. The famous case of Hospital.
Yes.
And that's going to be the introduction to this concept called. Shall we start with like what ransomware is?
We can start with what ransomware is. We can do that. Ransomware is like when somebody, a criminal, they get access to your information. At times they do it through hacking.
Right.
But you can also do it through external remote. So you can go pick up a USB that you found outside, put it into your computer. All your files are encrypted, and then you will get a message that you would have to pay a ransomware for it. It's actually just like loan sharking. So they would encrypt your files and then tell you that you have to pay an amount of Bitcoin to an amount in money,
Right.
in cash, and then you're not secure that if you're going to get all your data back or not.
But let's go back to that. So sometimes if you find a USB on the street, don't think that it's a gift. Never use that.
Never use USBs. Never take something and put it in something that's connected to the network. If you have a standalone and you can try it, but never ever. And it's not even USB nowadays. You even have it in wires that you can use to charge your phone. So people are always lending and borrowing wires from other people.
Yeah.
And in the wires, there are particles that can. It's very, very sophisticated. But also when you're using Wi-Fi, for instance, when you're traveling, people are always trying to hook onto Wi-Fi's.
Right.
And there's devices like pineapples that can hook onto your files and they have access to your phone. So they extend you the Wi-Fi, and while you're on their Wi-Fi, they're just in your phone, and if your phone is connected to a network, they can spy.
Interesting.
The famous do not trust the airport Wi-Fi dilemma.
Explain.
Like it's what she practically explained. A lot of public Wi-Fi services, specifically like Starbucks, McDonald's, airports, because airports is a hub of a lot of people, right?
Right.
Hundreds upon thousands of people in a single day. All it takes is for one to set a little worm, let's say,
Yeah, a worm, a pineapple.
in the internet,
Okay.
and then everybody who connects, he will have access to the internet because it's not protected. It's just public.
Wow, this is all new information for me. So I do understand a little bit about cybersecurity, but of course, obviously, we need to do a little bit more, educate more, and advocate.
It has a lot to do with education. Of course, as a company, as a government entity, you try to secure your true mechanics. You try to secure your network. But
Yeah.
if you do not educate the people, we had cases, for instance, international cases. Whenever you go to a course and stuff like that, they'll tell you how much money they put in it. So they pen tested enterprise, a company, and then they were like, okay, we couldn't get through your firewall, but through social engineering, through phishing, they got passwords through workers. So
Right.
then if you don't train the people that's working there and you put all this money in your firewalls, antivirus, and I can just call them and fake them and tell them, hey, it's Rutlin from the tech department. I see that your email has
Right.
thing. You can change your email. What's your password? I'll change it for you, and then you change it.
So
And then
if we compress the issue, it's usually human error, really.
Yeah.
It could be human error and it could be faulty stuff too. If you don't have an antivirus in place, you don't have firewall in place. Nada no tapasa na Aruba toch. Or and at times hackers, they see it as a challenge. They like it. It's very exciting. So they can be roaming in your computer and your stuff for years before they ever get where they have to be going and get the data they need to encrypt in the cases of ransomware.
Wow, now I need to think about my my recovery passwords. So when people come in, let's say somebody's entering my computer and I don't know about it.
Yeah.
Is there a way we can kind of look into my ports and see how they're coming in?
Yes, if you have firewalls or if you have, for instance, like a Fortinet, it logs everything for you so they can see when illegal activities is going on. So the big companies would have something like that, a Fortinet or firewalls, something that would let you know that, okay, there was an intrusion going on.
Right.
And then you would have the ICT people that would have to wake up for the morning to go see, oh, what's going on? Was it a real case or Did it spot somebody, or somebody was working late, or did somebody really try it at this time? You know, it really what the logs do, because you always have to keep checking your logs.
Check the logs.
So if you have a good ICT security of a chief of information, they would be checking the logs regularly to see if there's irregular activity, because that's what it is. It's irregular activity going on at that moment.
I think your the application you had on your Macs called Little Snitch.
Little Snitch, yeah.
Do you know about that?
No, I don't know about Little Snitch, but you have different apps that can do it also for you.
Yeah, so once upon a time, I wanted, because all the softwares call home, right? So if you install Photoshop, it calls Adobe servers. Yeah. And the list continues on, and even websites do that, right? So even with cookies and whatnot.
Yes.
But yeah, so I had the software, and every now and again, I would look at the map, and then when I saw like a country, for example, Estonia, I would be like, okay, so what's Estonia? And then I would see this number I don't recognize, and there's a strange IP address, and then I would start blocking it. But I have to obviously do it a little bit more, right? So
yeah, you have to be very vigilant, and it's always like, for instance, the Interpol campaign of this year. It was because last year we were like, online crime is real crime.
Absolutely.
To try to get people to understand that if you were a victim of hacking, phishing, sextortion, report it, because it's very underreported in a lot of countries, even in Aruba. It's very underreported. So unless you're in a conversation with people, they were like, yes, pasa com biaf, misako pasa com tanta. It's very underreported. So we're trying to get more people to report. Because for instance, if and I understand, especially big companies, they wouldn't want their clients to know that they've been victim. But the problem is that once they can get into your network of a big company, they're like, oh, Aruba is a honeypot. I can go in different companies. So if you report it, then we can be vigilant for all the other companies to be aware, or you can share information.
Understood. Yeah, understood.
And the topic of this year is just one click. To be very vigilant, to understand that just one click can make a big difference. It could be a click to turn on your antivirus software that could help you, because a lot of people turns off the antivirus software because it impedes you at times to do things, or it makes you
it stops. Certain services don't become available. Right?
So people would click it off, but it could be just one click that you clicked on the wrong link.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's to be very vigilant, take care. It's being online is just like in the real world.
Yes.
And people do not get that. Like I always talk to people when we're talking about children, crimes against children online. I'm like, you wouldn't go with your kid in a park and not be available, or not look at your kid.
Leave them alone and go 500 meters away. And
so why would you trust your kid to be on a PlayStation online, in an online world, talking to everybody? You don't know if the other person on the other line is a kid or an adult, sending him links, sending him this. You would not know. So you have to be vigilant, and you always have to be careful. The same way that you would take care of your kid when he's in a park, you should take care of them online. And that should be also for adults itself. Be careful when you're online. You wouldn't just go to a pin automat and pin and make everybody see your code.
Exactly.
So why online would you just be exposing all your information? Like I see people sharing a lot on Facebook, like what year were you born, or the name of your favorite color and stuff like that. So you have like this post that is asking you your favorite color, the month you were born, and the birth year. That would make your whatever, the Halloween name for this
It's one of those meme creators, right?
Those meme stuff. And then that information is usually the information you use in your passwords.
Absolutely. So that's the Apple. The Apple has those questions. What was your favorite school? First school? What was the name of your first dog?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's what those things they can use to phish you, because they will just throw them in a program, in a coded program. They can get out all your names and your emails and your passwords. So that's how hackers usually get into those information. Wow. So when I see people share them, like, oh yeah, I'm a school, I went to this, I did that. I'm like, oh.
Don't do it. Don't do it. So, and it's interesting on Aruba. I do feel that Arubans do. They think their privacy is important. So I'll give you an example. So I've done marketing for Buccaneer, and we used to do this program where we'll offer a voucher or a ticket, right? And people have to give me the email. They don't give me the email. No. They don't give it to me. No. So I think in spirit, people do appreciate the privacy.
We do appreciate your privacy. I won, I think, with Citizen a week ago or something for the breast cancer awareness.
Yeah.
I won a prize, and this girl was like, she's like, yeah, can I get your number? I'm like, but who are you?
Exactly. Yeah. Due diligence.
A bit of online searching to see if this person is real.
Right.
I was like, I'm sorry, but I work in cybersecurity, so I don't automatically trust you if you're coming online and asking me for my information. Like, Because that's what you have a lot lately, no? That you would see like different companies would share out. And I didn't even know that Citizen had a campaign. I just shared it in spirit of it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I was
Right.
But you see a lot of like companies would take off prizes. Like there was Crown, and all of a sudden you would get an email like, hey, you won. I'm like, so I was like, Crown, I think somebody is just busy fishing with your...
That's been a problem recently on Aruba. A
Yes.
lot of local companies suddenly had doppelgangers online who were promoting giveaways or lotteries
And
or
that's-
people winning.
Exactly, and that's where you have to see very good. Because I can remember the one for Crown, I'm like, okay, it's C.Round Aruba. So it's double gangers, but you can't have a Facebook with the same name. So they will like put a dot somewhere very slightly. It's the same thing with business email compromise. You would get a mail thinking it's from your dad. Hey, I am an emergency. You need to send me $10,000 at this moment. And then when you see it said it's like Bruce Print Harms, it's like Bruce the C dot E harms, and you have to be very
Yeah, and then it's human error again. It's just speed and
it's social engineering. They know what people are
social engineering.
they know what people are feelable for. Like for instance, they would I can remember when I was in the Netherlands, they would call you baby crying in the background. Oh, I need this email. I need this number now. If you can help me. And
Social engineering. Now
for
I
instance,
get it.
like this lady would call. Yeah, social engineers, like when they would like use props or things to get you to give away passwords. So they will call this husband, pretended to be the wife. Oh, I'm locked out. Can you give me the password? And and baby crying in the background. Everything is agitating you. So you'll be like, okay, let me just get it to you. And
Wow.
then you'll give away your password before you know it.
Yeah.
Another example of social engineering would be the very typical scam calls that you get, right? Very famous that people would be browsing on the web, and all of a sudden on your browser you would get the notification.
Yeah.
Your computer has been compromised. Please call this number so that we can help you, right?
Yeah.
And for most people are aware that it's false. It's in my browser. My browser doesn't know anything, right? But hundreds upon thousands of people every day call those numbers, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And all it takes is for the people at the other end of the call to then just talk to them as if they were
Support.
Microsoft tech support John Davis from New York City, right? And they would then guide them through so many processes as if they were tech support to then get money out of them.
But if you think about it, it's not. It's the same. It's the same experience.
Yeah.
If I've talked to tech support, and what they do is usually, okay, can you open up your Ethernet?
Yeah, they are very
1.192.1.1 and then there off you go.
Off you go.
So,
But they're very good because if I could just hook in on that for a moment.
Absolutely.
For instance, there was a time where a lot of people would get emails that you've been watching porn or something like that, and if you don't, I will expose your stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I was getting it a lot on a very old email, and I was like, okay, probably my email got hacked. Not my email itself, but what happens is that at times they hack lists of email.
right.
And there's I think it's I've been hacked or I've been pawned. I have to check the a website for you, and you can check to see.
Leaked.
You have leaked, but there's the other one. I think it's I've been pawned, but pawned PWNED.
Pwned.
Yeah.
Pwned.
And then you would check your email and you see like, oh yeah, my email was somewhere. So probably I went once to an airport or Starbucks and entered my email, and then they hacked that list.
Wow.
And they got your email. So they will just send it to thousands of people. They will just send it to a list of people. So you know you never looked at no porn, and you know it's impossible that you could have any video of you looking at any unsolicited porn. But what a lot of people do is that they would report this email, or they will block it. And then that's when they realize that, oh, your email is true. It's a real email that they're sending it to. And then you'll keep getting more of these mails until one of them you fall for it.
Yeah, I think it's just it's plain conversion.
Yeah.
You know, so they send out, let's say they send out, they're pinging, they're sending 1 million. There's going to be a 0.1%.
There's going to be,
And that's good money.
and they make good money with
Yeah,
that. They
yeah.
make good money. Even like when they used to call from those strange numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
People would like answer, and they don't need you to talk. You just need to be running, and they're making money off of you. So it'd be like, as soon as you see this number, just block it.
Yeah.
I had that call. I was at the office, and we were having contact outside. So we were doing some activities with Colorado, with Holland, and this number came, and then this and FaceTime, huh?
Yeah.
FaceTime, and then there's this guy. Hello, good. Oh. I'm like, no. I don't know what he can do,
But as soon as you even answer the calls. But recently they even had like from Bonaire and so close to numbers that you recognize, and that's where it gets tricky because they're like, oh, but I do have family in Bonaire, and then
Wow. So basically, don't take any call you don't know.
yeah, they're getting very sophisticated. So
They're speaking of what you were saying, pwned, PWNED, getting
Yes.
pwned, right?
Getting pwned.
Yeah.
Okay.
That usually means that your information, your contact information, is on a list somewhere, right?
Right.
And there's this very very handy website called HaveIBeenPwned.com.
have I been pwned?
Well, let's put it in the. We'll send the link when the show is finished, so for people can
And
rewatch it.
for anyone can access for this, and you just put in your phone number or your email account in here, and you can check
see it.
if it's on a list,
Right.
which will then explain if you're going to get very weird emails.
But if you're on the list,
hmm
what can I do about it?
Change your password.
You have to change your email.
Change your password, but it's not.
No, because you will always keep you can change your password, but
Right.
it's the email they have, so they could always keep sending your email. So
Exactly. It's on. You're on the list.
I
Yeah.
set everything to junk or spam box.
Yeah.
Never- because that was like one of my first email, like my name plus 00889 at Hotmail,
Yes,
like
yes,
those very, very infantile mails, and I still use it. So I can imagine that, like for instance, when I'm traveling and you need to access the McDonald's or wherever, I use that email. So I'm like, oh,
I have a spam email,
Yeah.
and so I have a Gmail. That's my first Gmail. It's the mail I've used to buy iTunes cards on these strange websites, right? Which Card Closet, for example, not exactly a registered business probably, and they probably do hacking activities, or they sell the emails to other people,
Yeah,
third parties.
because that's it, no? They don't always have to hack your email. There are third parties. If you don't read a little fine disclosure,
Nobody does. They just
sell
want
your
that card.
information. Like
Yeah.
a lot of time nowadays, you can go somewhere, you can scan a QR code.
Yeah.
All your information is also being accessed at that moment.
Let's talk about that. I think that's a great thing. So you said a couple of phrases that I think it's important for the listeners, right? So we talked about ransomware,
Yeah.
which is basically, they get in there and then they hold your data and you pay me and then I'll give you back your information. That's one.
That's ransomware.
You also talked about sextortion.
Sextortion.
So-
Sextortion is, for instance, when you will be thinking you're online, talking to somebody you like or love, and they'll be like, oh, send me pictures, and you send pictures of nudes or stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then a week before, after somebody else comes online, tell you, hey, I'm going to expose all your information if you do not pay me an amount of money.
Yeah, so guys, especially the guys, I think,
And
girls also.
And kids,
And
youngsters.
watch
there.
out with those racy pictures. And when somebody starts soliciting, I'll send you one and you send me one, be careful. Make sure you guys grew up at school.
Be careful. And if you have that, please go to the police. It's a crime.
Yeah.
Report it.
Yeah, that's important. Huh?
And especially our older generation at this moment, after the pandemic, they've been going more and more online. So we had a lot of cases with people 60, 65 plus. They're home lonely because of Corona. They can't leave their home. So they're in conversation with people, and then they either get sextorted or they fall for a lover scam. We had a lot of cases last year.
Yeah, that's very sad, no? Because it is, again, that's a new word for me. It's basically another form of social engineering. It's because their dexterity in the internet is low. So usually they have an interface, it's easy to work with, but they don't really know what's going on. We hardly know what's going on, right? So that's a little bit of the problem. You have an interface, you talk to your sister, you talk to your dad, and then this other person comes into your life, and it's the same experience.
Yeah, and there's people that like literally blew their savings and stuff like that because hammer ta XSTC, meet naman na plaka pa. And when you see it's just somebody in Nigeria, and they thought they were sending money to a friend in Colombia or stuff like that. So it's
Yeah, it's really predatory.
it's very predatory, and they go for whoever catch the baits, because it's not, you don't have to feel bad or ashamed when it happens to you, because they try it with everybody. I could remember in 2012, or no, I think it was in 2013, when I went to change my Duo. We had DigiDay. I was asked to change my password, and I was like, okay, but I need to get onto my EBK online to see what I owe and stuff like that.
Right.
What happened is almost 2 weeks later, but as soon as I did it, it felt wrong. And that's exactly what we tell in Just One Click. Follow your hunch. If something doesn't feel right,
Yeah.
double check.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, because the government of the Netherlands was very late to admitting that they were hacked, 2 weeks later, when I tried to log in, and I was logged out of my own account, and then a week after, I was like, oh, but the government, they actually got even reported for that because they were late to admit that they were hacked.
Right.
Because they were hacked, so many other people's DigiD information
Interesting.
got exposed.
Yeah, very, very important. When you make an account on any website or with any company or anything, they will never ask you for your Wi-Fi or to change your password without you asking them.
Exactly.
If you didn't send in a request to change your password, you will never get something back to asking you to change your password. Never.
Right. It happened to me. And this is more in the cryptocurrency space. Yeah. So I have this wallet from Exodus, and there's the recovery password, right? But Exodus is a little bit buggy, so it wasn't really working. And I recently started going to Reddit, and I went on the Cardano subreddit. And I started talking about, hey guys, is anybody experiencing a problem? And then boom, I get this icon from Exodus, and very professional.
Help desk,
yeah, help desk. And so how's it going? And then like you said, my gut feeling was, what? This is a bit strange. No, but you know what the problem is? You have to reset your password, your phrase. Go to this link. Then I go, and then I'm like, okay, wait. This is not good. So I went to check out the profile created 1 hour ago. So there's no way that's support. And again, that's another thing. Watch out with social media platforms. Those are not places for business, and definitely not places to be sharing this kind of information.
At all.
It's
not information where you share your birth year. The most basic information they can use against you. I mean, how many of us have our birth years or birth date in our passwords or emails or stuff like that?
Oh, I have a very good colleague of mine. A shout out to Tanya. Yeah. When I look at passwords being made, I'm like, listen, you need something that is truly, truly personal that nobody knows. And I have done it too. Yeah. And then I had to change it. I actually have to, So again, no birth dates in your...
Actually, nowadays, they try to tell you, make it as long as possible and do phrases. And for us in Aruba, it's easy because we speak Papimento.
Yeah.
Nobody else speaks it.
We catch them.
Okay, Kidiama by Alta Vista. like stuff like that. Kidiama by Alta Vista, just never ochinta. That would be my password. And it will be like so long and in different... So it's very hard for, even if they're using a bot to try to recognize the password, they wouldn't be able to recognize because you're speaking in a language that they're not familiar with.
Yeah, and think about that. We have unique places with very unique names. Yeah. So it will be tough. But let's talk about that bot for a second. So one of those bots, what are they redoing? They're just retrying until they get a hit?
You will make like a specific program. So for instance, you'll be like, if you know that a company requires passwords between 8 and 13 words, it will just sit all day and just have a computer program just and running. It'll start with 000000000A 000B 000C, but it's computer, so it can go very, very fast.
So there was a scene in a relatively famous show, Mr. Robot.
Yeah.
Oh yes, very famous.
And in the very, very first episode, even what happened was he found out about some higher up at another company that was going to start working with him, and he got a gut feeling that this guy something's going on, right? He's probably also a hacker. So he went on his Facebook, found his dog, found his birthday, found his favorite food, his girlfriend, his mother, and he put those key phrases into a program. Then in that program would then shuffle it and add numbers or other phrases in there, and constantly try to input that as a password. Yeah. And he predicted that it would take probably a week-ish, but still,
that's the thing. What people don't realize: these computers can do trials very fast, very efficient. Yeah. So that's why it's irritating, right? So convenience is where the weakness is, right? So now you have CAPTCHA. I'm not a robot, right? Show the stoplights, and you're like, come on, man, I want to get into my email. Yeah, but take your time.
Take your time, because for instance, because of the pandemic and a lot of kids being online, and due to a lot of crimes that were starting up, for instance, Gmail started with now that kids cannot have their own Gmail, but every kid that has a tablet you would make a Gmail account for them. And now you have to hook it up to the parents' accounts every time. My son is like, Ma, I need to get on my Gmail account. And you are so, you want to like take it off, turn it off.
Right.
But it's there actually to protect your kid, because they've noticed, because so many kids went online, so many kids, because of online learning, online schooling, they're having a lot of more are using Google Classroom, and a lot of kids would fall as victims to predators who would be accessing them.
So.
And for your convenience, you're like, oh, I'll just turn off this parent advisory thingy, because wherever you are, the kids would be harassing, Mami, tigo subi online, what you acordere, of what you kasi say.
Well, it's true. We have the same problem. You know, what do you think about the consumption of YouTube for kids, right? So they go on my account pretty much.
Yeah.
So there's algorithms in there, right? And they
will start seeing stuff that your kid's not supposed to be seeing. Because it depends how you use it, and then they will be able to use it. So always have to have like a age for kids. If you can put an advisory for kids for age, but if you're using your dad account.
The thing is that his account, while still linked, the algorithms used for YouTube and YouTube Kids are separate.
Yes. If you have a YouTube Kids account, it's
well, there we go.
That's
That's the answer, I guess.
Yes.
That's what he's saying.
You have to have a YouTube Kids account.
Kids.
If you have the same account, it's not gonna work, because whatever you see, and it's not even only what you see on YouTube. No, whatever you Google, whatever you see on other platforms, it will through ads. It will come through your YouTube account.
Yeah, gotcha. So recommendation: YouTube Kids has more. It's supposed to be more responsible.
Yeah, the kids are more for kids. For tablets, you have also kids programs that are actually for kids. You can put the age limited, so it will. If your kids is 13, it would let them watch things for 14 or 15, or you can do like kids for 7 to 8, so that they don't have access to different stuff that's not kids related.
Yeah, we have a Kindle, and we have one of those Amazon accounts. I think it's a $4 subscription. It's pretty nice, very educative. And I actually have something called an Osmo. But now we're going to the good stuff for the kids. But there's something else that we need to cover. It's, the concept of phishing with the PH.
Yeah, phishing is PH. It's literally like trying to fish you. So they're trying to get you to, and that's like when you click on links. Yeah, that's the one click. When you're clicking on links or phishing, they also use social engineering a lot in phishing. They're trying to get your password to get access to your stuff.
Right.
So like where ransomware is, they would be locking something and asking for money. With phishing, they're trying to get access into your computer, into your stuff. So they'll either do it through social engineering or just sending you links and stuff like that and get you to click on that link. And then they will be in your computer.
Is phishing a way towards ransom, or is phishing even worse, that they might want to be doing identity theft or access to your bank accounts?
It could be a way to ransom, but it could be just to access to bank accounts, access to your computer, access to your sensitive information, to your PayPal, to your credit card. And for instance, nowadays, especially like if you have an Amazon account, there are a lot of people that have everything that they can just one pay accents, one click on your phone.
I have that. Yes, absolutely.
It can be very tricky.
It's very tricky. Yeah, and actually, now that I think about it, I have a couple of passwords.
Yeah.
I'm starting to spread around. I used to have one password for everything, but I started to change it. But obviously, now that we've spoken, people need to put more effort in everything. Yeah. So don't worry about convenience.
Yeah, and you have apps that can keep your password, like password keepers and stuff like that. Because the biggest problem why people go for convenient passwords is you forget them.
Yeah,
I forget my passwords all the time.
That's my job at home.
Like
that's my job.
If you have like 10,000, so you can download password keepers and put your password in there, and then it's safe.
Password keepers. I've never used that. Have you?
No. My only concern with that is that every company and every server is hackable.
That's true.
All it takes is somebody who is stubborn enough to try for as long as it takes, but every place and every server is hackable.
And that's true. There's this like expert, and he once said the only way that you cannot be hacked is if like you take your hardware, put it in a titanium container, lock it down under the ground, and then it's the only way that you know for certified you're secure. So it doesn't matter on what you do.
And so my only issue with password keepers is that still, if there is a keylogger on my computer, it's still gonna get recognized.
Yes.
And all it takes is one breach of the information on the password keepers, and all those passwords are now on a list again.
Yeah, a while back I was watching. There's this show on Vice, and they talked to very interesting people. So from drug addicts to hackers, and there was this one hacker that he calls himself a social hacker. So there's hackers that are predators, but there's hackers that exploit things, but then they become security experts.
Yeah.
So he started his journey hacking just to survive, right? So he lived in his car. But he's talking about how what they call exploits. Everything is exploitable. So if you have a Wi-Fi at home, I can exploit that.
Yeah.
Because nothing is truly secure.
Nothing is secure. And now you have Internet of Things.
Yes.
So your coffee machine is on the Wi-Fi. Your air conditioner is on the Wi-Fi.
A smart home.
Your robot is on the Wi-Fi. Everything is on the Wi-Fi. So once they can get you any one of these devices, they're in your home.
The pacemaker.
What about the pacemaker?
Can also be on the Wi-Fi.
There are pacemakers these days that are designed to be online.
Yeah, we talked about the Internet of Things a while back, and that's why we have this show. It's more like, okay, all the things that are great are exploitable. So, and I've heard even TVs, right? So televisions.
Your television can also be on the Wi-Fi.
Can be on the Wi-Fi, but the theory of a very good friend of mine is that they are also selling data. That's why they're cheaper. So in their business model, they're actually keeping some data of your activity. Yeah.
The coffee machine that is online is saying how many, what size of coffee every day is being consumed.
But that's interesting for corporations.
It's even the hour you wake up. So if you set your coffee for at 6 a.m., they know when they're marketing at you, okay, like this person wakes up at 6 a.m. So then you start seeing commercial from Philips Wake Up Light. Yeah, because you need to wake up at 6 a.m. So you just put this natural light. And that's how they use your information to make money.
Yeah, and now you see, now we're segueing into something else. So corporations are doing that, and by buying it, we're supporting it, I guess.
Yeah.
And is that socially corporate socially responsible? We don't know, but I think it's big news. But at the same time, all of that is exploitable. And do you feel that they should take more responsibility in protecting us as buyers?
No, of course, they do. And you have the wet privacy bescherming van gegevens, so that you have consumer rights. So they have to actually protect your information.
Nice.
Right.
And when I'm giving you my information, I'm trusting you.
To not
What
do
are
anything.
you doing to my information?
Yeah.
But of course, they have those like little fine letters that nobody always read that tells you like, I'm going to sell your information to third party and stuff like that. Even when you're accepting cookies, they tell you you're accepting cookies. But when you're accepting cookies, they're in your computer taking information, and they can sell it to third parties. So they actually warn you, like, well, we want to be online, so we accept it.
Yes, we were talking about that in the last show, preparing for this show. Cookies is a very controversial piece of technology because we need the cookie for that reading, writing experience, right? So the cookie helps us. They'll say, accept cookies and you'll have a better experience. Yeah. But at the same time, that's another port. They're in.
It's another port there's in, and you can have data miners using that, trying to cryptojacking. So they're in your computer and make enough money off your computer. If you start seeing your CPU is running high or your computer is getting very hot, it's because they're actually using your battery to be mining their crypto.
Nice.
Wow.
That can also happen.
That is, I did not realize that.
They wouldn't go for your small computer that easy, but they do it in big companies that have a lot of battery powers because it's easy, and that's how they're mining. They're paying for their actually.
See, and this is why if we go into the crypto subject, that's why, well, at least from my end with Cardano, we believe in that proof of stake concept and the proof of work concept, which is mining. That's when things get tricky because I do feel that the energy issue. Yeah. Right, we're gonna live through an energy crisis.
At this moment.
And even that's being exploited. That you have, they're trying to hack into free energy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's free, they're hacking for free energy.
I'm gonna hack into your computer, not for your personal information. I'm not gonna keylog you. No, I just need your CPU.
Yeah, and I'm paying web.
And you're paying web. You're paying things.
Almar.
After a while, your motherboard can burn because it overheats your computer.
Yeah.
So.
But you see, if you really compress everything down, me as a internet user, what is exploitable? My personal information, my behavior, and even my own resources.
Yes.
And that's what they're targeting. And Always.
They're always targeting. And information is power, no? Any information half of you
Yeah.
power. Because you're talking about you as a personal person, but can you imagine that they hack into a hospital and they get information over who has AIDS, who has this, who has that? Nobody wants their medical information to be out
No,
there.
that was nuts.
Or if, for instance, if they hack in a web and they can just, like there was
They can turn off
exactly. No. But turn off the water is not a problem. In Arizona, I think it was last year or early this year, they...
Water conservation, right?
they tried to manipulate with the level of the water stuff
Oh.
in the water. So they were actually trying to poison the people. And it's good stuff that the person sitting in the back of the computer starts seeing the H2O, the H going up. And they were like, whoa, something's going on there. So that's what they do. They can biochemical poison you nowadays. Or for instance, because a lot of stuffs in hospitals and stuff like that are online.
Right.
Just
right.
turn off all the gas tanks. So it could be very, very tricky. We laugh about it when we're personal consumers. But if you're thinking, for instance, if they hack a bank,
Right.
or they hack your central bank, there's no more paying would be possible. No airplanes can land or come back. Servers wouldn't be able to pay anything. What would you do?
So how does Interpol and Aruba feel about the current state of cybersecurity awareness? Does it need a lot more let's say intellectual input, more training, more, because we have ITP
Yeah,
Caribbean, right?
yeah.
And they're probably the leaders right now in providing that kind of service.
No, for instance, like the vital structure, they all have their own IT people, and they're on level. Like Elmar, Centrale Bank, Web, they're on a level. They do their pen tests. They're being
operating in
very secure.
standards.
They're operating in standards. But to say like the entire Aruba population being on the internet is something that's being new, and I know the government is busy with a national cybersecurity strategy to make sure that everybody's from the clients to backer, not the biggest entity, to be on at least a baseline measurement on one
Absolutely.
level to say that you have a cybersecure resilience, because even the government is going over now on everything digitally. So the
Yes,
government
yeah,
have
absolutely.
to make sure
Yeah.
that they can protect our data also.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're getting there. I mean, we're far from being where we have to be, as in to say that we're totally cyber secure. But Aruba has also been very reluctant on going online. Like, for instance, the older generation will be like, I'm not a pagana online until COVID came. And now we're
True.
going. But
That's
then
true.
if you see, like, for instance, SATAT and the banks, they're hooking up together, trying to give courses how to go online.
See.
So there's a lot of awareness going on right now at the moment. There has to be aware with our own behavior as employees.
Absolutely.
How many people walk in with a personal phone, can't find something, you hook it on, hook it on to charge on your computer network, and
And let's remind everybody that the phone is a computer. It's a full-blown computer, totally exploitable. Maybe even more so.
Yeah.
Because, for example, in our little world, some applications downloaded from the Play Store were predatory.
Yeah.
They were copies, and because they don't do their due diligence, and people lost a lot of crypto, which, cryptocurrency is I think controversial here in Aruba a little bit, but what we as Tech Impact believe in is the ledger technology, right? So the ledger technology, the encryption process, and the transparency that it can offer. Can you tell us what you think about, for example, going digital ideas and cryptocurrency? Cryptography. Is that something that is interesting, or because right now we're going, if government goes digital, it's or going to be a software provider, which is a third party that has their own servers and their own security, or it could be more of a, crypto ledger, transparent. This has happened in Ethiopia with Cardano, and they're gonna have digital ideas, 700,000 people. So, or do we don't know enough yet?
I cannot speak on behalf of the government of exactly what they're
No.
What route or stuff they're going into, but we are what has to be cryptography. It's always when you bring upon new change, it's actually education,
Absolutely,
awareness,
advocacy,
and being very mindful, making sure that the laws are in place, and making sure that you have incident response in place if something happens.
Right.
So that is where we have to start to meet each other, because technology is niet ondenkbaar tegenwoordig. It's like you can't do nothing without technology. You can't.
No.
Keep
Economy will drop.
You need it. So, and I don't know if you heard this discourse of the PM from Barbados. the way she spoke, she's like, if the islands are very smart, if we want to, because tourism has been for long our economic pillar
Right, for everyone.
for everybody. And if you see like Mauritius and small countries like that, digital technology is what it's going to be for our countries if we want
Absolutely.
to have a new pillar. So it's something to look into,
Yes.
but you have to be very mindful, especially with our awareness in Aruba. I mean, if you see Lady Kacho, if you see how today they took off an article of people just throwing trash in the Mundi, our awareness on these things are lacking in those basic stuff. So you have to make sure that when you're going digital in another world, that the
That's a great way of putting it.
awareness is very there, because it has to do with us as a culture. I'm not excluding myself. So it has to do with who we are as a culture and who we are as a people. Like, if you see that in certain things already, we are not very strict. I mean, I when I hear, I think on the radio, I'm like, no tira sushi ding awanang, not the dump in the
Roy.
the
Roy.
Roy now. I'm
yeah.
like, why should we be teaching people not to throw trash in the Roy? That should be common sense. But obviously, we are not there yet. And that's the same thing you have to go when you're going digitally, when you're going online. You have to make mindful of the people you have in your country and
Absolutely.
be very careful. I think with the younger generation, we're going to get there easier. 'Cause
Yeah,
if you see
yeah,
the
yeah,
younger
yeah, yeah.
generation, they're nature lovers.
They're aware of
their surroundings. They're
Yeah.
aware that if we do not be careful now, there's not going to be Aruba to live in tomorrow.
Exactly.
But with
Yeah.
the older generation is where the bottleneck is. And not the older generation like before us, because they were very, very using bottle glasses and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
We're the generation that came with plastic and stuff that is bad for the pollution. But with the younger generation, I think we'll get there easier. So we have to start now with cyber awareness in schools. Like I see there's like early learning program for coding for kids in Kleuter, like start very young. With them, if we start with them young, we're gonna get there. And then for the generation at hand at this moment, there we will have to do a lot of awareness, because it's not gonna go. I fear that it would not go that easy the way I see how they treat Lady Kachu and to Lady Naturalista and to Leinang.
Yeah, there's a lot of challenge there, but I think what you just said, it was very beautiful. I think it's important. I agree that I do feel that the younger generation, when I say younger, that's Jean-Luc's generation.
Yes, and younger.
They do take the world very seriously and the challenges that exist. So the climate crisis, social corporate responsibility, surveillance capitalism. If you think about it, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I think that's the difference. Our generation, we grew up in our problems were different.
Yes.
Right? Our problems were different, and our education was configured for us to do well in the Western
industrial
world.
world,
Right,
yes.
right. So upward mobility.
Yes.
If I wanted to become a doctor, go a doctor. I became a designer, I became a guitar player, and those were the things we were worried about. But now, obviously, things are getting very complicated. And look at the last 3 weeks. Everybody, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, "Oh my God, it's very hot."
It's very hot.
It's very hot, and air conditioning is a
Global crisis
basic
too.
need. But I do feel there's hope. There's hope when we talk about coding for kids. That's coming on Aruba. People are working at it. There's news coming about that. I know a bunch of other groups that are busy with that, and the internet can be very empowering.
Yes.
The internet is very empowering if you use it right.
If you use it right.
We shouldn't talk about the internet as if it's a scary big monster, because it's a very empowering tool. Artificial intelligence is the future. So the more you get your kids involved in the internet, just get them involved on the right way and
In a positive way.
Positive and a secure way. Because there's so much wrong going also on the internet. You have internet bullying. You have sextortion, internet bullying. You have negative things going on, but you have a lot of beautiful things going on also. So
It's like living in New York. It's like living in New York. It's beautiful. There's great restaurants. There's a park. But you got to watch out.
a lot of crimes.
A lot of crimes.
Exactly.
But Rudran, I think we're hitting the 50-minute mark.
Yeah.
I kind of knew it was going to happen because it's very interesting. It fits Tech Impact, and we want to thank you for being here. I think the one-click campaign is very interesting, and we're coming back, right? We're going to continue.
Yeah, either me or other colleague will be back.
Yeah, on the 30th.
On NCTV. Oh, on the 30th, yes. We'll
This is
be there.
our next show.
Next show. And on NCTV Aruba, you can follow everything from the one click campaign.
We'll be consolidating everything and putting it on our feed. So, is there anything, Jean-Luc? Do you have any more questions for Rutlin?
No, let's keep that for next week.
Next week.
Next week.
We'll be
All right.
next week with the next topics. Thank you very much for having us.
No, I think it's super cool, and I think it's important. And we're gonna sign off, Jeff. And thank you for being here. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching.
Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Saturday evening.
Yes.